Hey crew, it's Coach Josh here with Garage Gang Gyms, and I want to congratulate you on making it through your first week of your New Year's resolution. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is making sure we hone in your program so that it will carry you through the tough times, okay? So, what am I getting at here? The first thing is we want to figure out what obstacles did we encounter last week. So, let's talk about last week. You were extremely motivated, you got your new workout templates, your nutrition logs, whatever, whether it's my program or someone else's, and you made it through the week. Maybe you lost 5 pounds and you're feeling really good about it. That's awesome. But we need to make sure that anything that may have been a hiccup last week that didn't feel like a hiccup, we kind of round out that rough edge. And the reason I say that is because this week, you're still going to be motivated, but like 95% as much as you were last week. You're coming in, hopefully you've lost weight if that's your goal, gained some weight if that's your goal, and you still have this motivation. But next week, maybe your motivation will drop a little bit, and then next week a little bit more and a little bit more. Usually it's about week 6 that we are really nervous about, is when your motivation is going to be at its lowest, no matter how good your results are, okay? So let's talk about it. Last week, maybe even yesterday, you may have even prepped food, okay? You got all your meals planned for this week. That's awesome. That's so good, and it's so much work. And maybe yesterday there was a time that during the 2 hours that you maybe prepped food, or hopefully it wasn't that long, but let's say it was that long, maybe you said to yourself, wow, this is a lot of work, right? Maybe you were chopping vegetables, cutting meat, maybe you were browning stuff, maybe stuff was in the oven, whatever. If you had that thought of, oh, wow, this is a lot of work, in a few weeks, it's going to be too much work. Now, what happens if it's too much work? You're going to skip it. You're going to do less. You're going to say, I don't really want to grocery shop today. I'm feeling kind of tired from the workouts this past week. Eh. So what happens? That means that following week, maybe it's the end of January, you have no plan. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to slip back into your old habits. If your old habits were, ordering takeout or having food delivered to you, you're going to start going backwards really quickly. So here's my recommendation if you felt that way when you were prepping food yesterday, is this coming week, maybe you prep for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You set a timer, okay? What can I get prepped in an hour instead of 2? It's already half the work. You're not going to get nearly as many meals planned, and that's okay. Remember, we don't need to be perfect right out of the gate. You're probably looking at your template, looking at your meal plans if it's one of mine, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 4 meals or 3 meals a day with snacks, and he's got my workouts planned for me. There's so much change that happened, even though you were motivated and you got through it. So maybe we have to take a couple steps back. No plan is perfect when it's first given to you. In fact, all plans start as kind of a template. We're kind of seeing what does work right now, and we're trying to hone it in. So if it took you 2 hours to prep a certain amount of food and it kind of gave you that obstacle, again, set that timer for 40 minutes, maybe 30. So what should you prioritize? I would highly recommend you prioritize your snacks. Chances are you're eating pretty much the same thing for breakfast every day. Your lunch might be your leftovers from the night before. Maybe you have some lunches that you're putting together, but let's be honest, it's the snacks. It's that 2 to 4 p.m. zone where you get a little hungry, but if you don't eat something, you're going to be ravenous. Plus, at least for our meal plans here at Garage Gang Gyms, those are the fun foods. Your apple cakes, your ice cream, your black bean brownies, your protein balls, whatever it is that you're having. And it can be kind of easy to prep and kind of fun, especially if you have younger kids. They might want to help you. If you're making protein balls and they eat a couple and you eat a couple, it's fun and exciting. And it's not the end of the world if you have a few. But it gives you a little bit more structure throughout your week rather than just saying, I'm done with this meal prep. Now, maybe you didn't have any issues with meal prep. You enjoy cooking. You enjoy going to the grocery store. You love the grocery shopping lists that we give you here. Awesome. But maybe some of the meals aren't to your taste, to your liking. Maybe they're a little scary. Some of my clients have made the comment of, wow, that fish curry looks kind of gross. But when they try it, they actually like it. So something you want to consider is, what can you substitute? Okay. When it comes to meats, let's say substitution wise, I like to think in terms of calories. Okay. So pork and beef, calories wise, can be more similar than chicken and pork, or chicken and beef especially. So if you're looking at a recipe and you say, oh, cod in curry, fish curry, maybe you try chicken, okay? And let's say last week you lost 5 pounds. That's quite a bit. Unless you are needing to lose 150 pounds, 5 pounds in 1 week, that's pretty fast. That means that you really tightened your belt, and it might have been too much of a change too quickly. So maybe what you need to do is with your meals is modify them by adding rice on the side. So let's take that curry example. Let's say it's fish curry, and rather than eating it out of a bowl, you switch out the fish for chicken and you put it on some rice, and now you kind of have a chicken tikka masala, right? More of an Indian inspired meal, okay? That's awesome. Your kids will love it, your spouse will love it, you will love it. It's a few extra carbs and it's a few extra calories because, again, if you lost 5 pounds or even 3, you might be a little too perfect right now. And being too perfect kind of gets in the way of life, okay? You're going to eventually get met with some resistance. And we want to make sure that you get through it no problem, right? That's also why our meal plans have that day off, or that meal off rather. And again, talking about recipes, when you get a meal plan from me, again, it can be overwhelming. You have 3 meals, a snack, there's 7 days in the week. Granted, there's some that are leftovers. Granted, there's the meal off, but maybe that was too much for you. You spent a lot of time cooking, and holy cow. So a great thing for you to work on this week is establish your 5 I can do this with any day, any amount of effort type meals. Maybe it's, hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store today and get a rotisserie chicken, a pouch of rice, and some broccoli. Great, that's one ready to go meal. Maybe it's, okay, I really love pasta, but Josh hasn't really given me any pasta this week, but next week I do. How can you make the pasta work for you? Well, maybe you look at your recipe and it's, let's go back to the tikka masala. It's chicken, curry, and rice, right? Maybe you say, oh, you know what I will do? Instead of the curry, I'm going to do a red sauce, maybe an Alfredo sauce. Be careful though, because some Alfredo sauces can have way more calories than a curry. And put some chicken in it with my pasta. I'm just going to be really smart about how much pasta I put on the plate. Great, it's spaghetti night. Fantastic. Maybe you love tacos. Great. You go out and you find a tortilla that is to your liking. Do you need more carbohydrates? Cool. Get a flour tortilla. Do you need less? Cool. Get a low carb tortilla. Are you doing chicken tacos or beef tacos? You can manipulate how many calories you get in those tacos so that it sticks to your plan and it's just easy for you, right? And a great tip with tacos, instead of sour cream, using Greek yogurt, right? Unflavored or plain Greek yogurt. It can have that same sour taste to it that you're looking for from your sour cream, a fewer less calories, and it's more protein, right? But you can still throw your lettuce on there, your cheese, your hamburger. The reason I'm thinking tacos is the day that I'm shooting this video, it's taco night for the Pearson family, okay? But again, it's how do we navigate? These little tweaks that you're going to make to your meals this week, again, are setting us up for the future so that it's not effort. Because if it requires a lot of effort, you're going to say, screw this. It was so much more comfortable doing what I was doing before, ordering Domino's every night and just eating takeout all the time because it was so comfortable. Well, we do need to be a little uncomfortable, but again, looking back at last week, you had so much more motivation that the discomfort you felt kind of was water off a duck's back. But by Wednesday this week, some of that motivation is going to be gone. So again, we really want to make sure we figure out how to make it your plan. Now, cooking, no problem for you maybe, but maybe it's the workouts. Okay, so let's think back on your workouts. Maybe your plan has you doing 3 total body strength days a week, and it's also having you do 2 cardio sessions. So you went to the gym or at home 5 times. That can be a lot, especially if you haven't been doing much. Maybe you've been extra sore and maybe you're kind of tired. Maybe by the end of the week you're having or needing to have a little bit more caffeine. Again, that's something that might not be sustainable long term. So how do we modify things? Well, let's make sure when we're looking at our week, we prioritize those resistance days, okay? Because a lot of you are looking to get toned, and resistance training is really going to help you get there, especially if you have your nutrition figured out. The cardio can be great for your heart and overall health. That's true. But if you're going to pull something out right now because maybe, holy cow, I spent 8 hours at the gym last week and I was only expecting to spend 5, but I was trying to learn these things and there was all this stuff. And, this week, maybe my kids have a recital or a wrestling tournament, whatever. I need to kind of shave off a little bit of time. No problem. Now, what you can also do is maybe you can only go to the gym 3 times this week and next week, and maybe your coach hasn't really helped you figure that out. So what you can do is, okay, let's look at my resistance training and look back at my logs, because you should be writing stuff down, and say, okay, it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes to do all of this work. Now, some of it was me watching the videos to make sure my form was good. I was sending videos to Josh for my form check, still things you should be doing. But maybe you look at it and say, yeah, maybe I don't need to do that final plank exercise. And what I'll do is take that out. It'll save me 5, 8, 10 minutes. And maybe I'll tack on 20 minutes of cardio after. That way I only have to go to the gym 3 times this week. I get some strength, I get some cardio, and it's going to work for me. Awesome. Keep in mind though, you want to do the cardio after your resistance training. If you do it first, it's going to be very hard for you to push the weights a little bit more this week, because from last week, let's say you did 20-pound chest presses, 5 sets of 12, which is a lot. Most of my athletes are doing maybe 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12. What I'll have you do this week is maybe add 1 additional set, or instead of doing 10s, maybe you're doing 12s. When you're first learning or first getting into it, I'm not huge into, hey, let's jump 5 pounds every week. If you're more experienced, great. But that's also something to keep in mind, is that this week's workouts might already take a little bit more time because we're doing 2 extra reps. Maybe you need more rest because of that. Maybe we're doing 1 extra set with your first and maybe your second exercise. So that's going to take another 2 to 3 minutes. So maybe there is a need to shave off some at the bottom. Now, if you're one of my clients, reach out to me. I will help you figure out exactly what to remove and what to add to make sure that you get through this week okay. But again, for some of you, you just have a template you're looking at, and I'm trying to help you navigate what you can change to kind of make it through this week. Because this week, we want to get through it with as little resistance as possible. That way, next week, the 3rd week of January, we're not discouraged in any way. And we were successful at making little tweaks to our program, turning it into your program, right? This isn't just, lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks cutting plan. No. This is lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks cutting plan for Josh, for Karen, for Sarah, for whatever, okay? And that means that we need to tweak a few things. Maybe instead of losing 30 pounds in 6 weeks, it's we lost 18 in 6 weeks, but I didn't quit after 6 weeks. And I can really push it all year round, and especially by summer, instead of just thinking about spring break, I feel really good for swimsuit season. So again, this was Coach Josh with GarageGangGyms.com. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. I would love to help you on your journey.